I've already made probably one of the biggest and most detrimental mistakes in this career. There's no way I can even type or audibly emote to show my shame, and I'm deeply sorry for all those who are affected. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then, as much as it pains me to watch, here, a half-caster like a warlock. It's disgusting, I know. Completely unforgivable, and I can only hope that all the warlock mains out there can find it in their potentially shared souls to forgive me for what I've said. Warlocks are full casters, not half casters. Oh boy, here we are again. Here are the boys. We just summoned a demon in a very similar way to a popular TV show that's out there. Let's get to the aftermath. Now, in D&D, it's a fairly new concept to like the NPCs. In earlier editions, they were really just seen as meat shields, and no, I'm not talking for all you old gamers out there, but I'm generalizing here. It seemed more common to use an NPC to stop your character from getting hurt, rather than hurting your character for their health. Call me overdramatic or emotional, but in this game I got really attached to a lot of these NPCs, and I don't think I was the only one. You know when your DM would introduce many new characters, but they all pretty much had the same voice? Imagine not that. And as the title says, this is how I fell in love with an NPC. So, we just repelled the beast that we summoned, and almost instantly the magical FBI showed up with their strange magical scanners to figure out what the heck just happened here. And of course we were all dragged off one by one to be questioned and to lie through our teeth that we had absolutely nothing to do with any of this. I'm 100% sure they already knew everything because, well,
magic.
All of us were completely blindsided and my anxious wreck of a small boy was shattered. All that was on my mind for weeks was what the heck was actually on the other side of that mirror and what the hell was he gonna do? A heckin' dumb D&D game was making me, in real life, anxious. That made playing the character a lot easier. Julian was bad at magic. A lot of the time he would accidentally cast his spells, and this whole time he was casting invisibility on himself as some kind of defense mechanism. After going back to the dorm rooms and cooling off a little, we went to bed. Julian and Dante again having dreams with their respective otherworldly beings, essentially telling us that what happened was meant to happen and showing us what we were really up against, but still we had many questions. Julian woke up in the middle of the night and headed down to the common area where he found Miriam, the girl who had helped us into the forbidden section, and she was sitting at the table crying with scattered notes around her. Julian, still semi-transparent, approached her and sat with her in an attempt to comfort her. It turns out she was only really at this school to find her older brother, who she suspected turned into an Arcanad, which is essentially a mage that tried to conjure more magic than their body could handle, and they were turned into basically an arcane elemental. And the book she was looking for said it was impossible to bring someone back from that state, rendering her distraught. All Julian could do was promise that the party was there for her and tell her not to give up on her research. He was naive and believed at this point magic could do just about anything. Seeming to improve our social link, we cleaned up a bit and went back to bed. Elliot woke us all up the next morning, very drunk and very happy from his lollipops. He told us all that we were to take the day off and head back to the Gold Ward as classes were cancelled for the rest of the week, which was great. We all had money and stress to be let off. Most of us went to Marlowe's magnificent magical emporium? It's probably not right, but it's close enough. Here was our game's magical merchant, mostly selling trinkets to the school kids, but he also had his fair amount of real magical items. Heck, Dante bought a dancing knife off him, and Gale bought a frisbee with blades on it. I'm not even sure if that one was magical. I waited for everyone to leave his office, which was its own demi-dimension where we had to sit on a pink couch, but Julian pulled out a torn animated rug that we destroyed earlier. A rug that Marlowe instantly recognised, but the champ didn't snitch on us. He asked what I wanted to do with it, and I had decided fairly early on after getting it that I wanted to turn it into an animated scarf, which Marlo loved and instantly patented. A few enchantments later, Julian had a nice soft blue scarf, made from a thing that tried to kill us a few sessions ago. Look, it turned out great and no longer tried to kill us, so shush. Julian immediately ran back down the street and gave the scarf to Miriam as a gift for helping us, and it was his own way of showing Miriam that he wanted to protect her. He also might have a small crush on her, but whatever, shut up. We got back soon after, and as we headed into our cabin, Elliot was standing outside one of the windows, face pressed against the glass, trying to get my attention. With an abysmal perception check, he had to climb inside to drag me away. Gale, with his eagle vision, saw as well and followed on. Elliot explained to us that he had lent a pretty important book to some out-of-school kids, and if he didn't get it back, he might be expelled. He said he needed our help to get it back, and since Elliot was our boy, we agreed, and he bought out another book that was apparently the second volume to the one he lent, and it was magically tethered to the first, always trying to fly in its direction. So we gathered the gang and left the confines of the school. We ended up in the normie world. Pretty sure it was New York, but that's not really important. Elliot stole us a car using the excuse that we're mages, we can do what we want, and we all piled into the car. That door from earlier, still here, by the way. It's always been here. We drove about 30 feet down the battle map and got out of the car as the book we were carrying freaked out. It brought us to a seemingly normal-looking warehouse. But after some detect magics, we gathered the door was enchanted with what we only assumed to be the alarm spell. Now, one big rule the DM added to this game that I should have brought up long ago was that our characters were not limited to our class's spell lists. We couldn't add any to our lists that weren't from our class lists, but we could at any time attempt to cast any spell, as long as we passed an arcane skill check. At the risk of hurting ourselves or even becoming an arcanad, we could cast a spell. Some of us were a lot more creative than others with this rule, but most of us played it safe. We combined our efforts and busted open the door of the warehouse, where we were instantly assaulted by the Monster Mash. Now, a full magic-based party seems pretty awesome until you realise you're only level 3 and collectively have the same health as a raging barbarian at this level. We were downed a lot. Over and over these ghoulies knocked us out, but we pressed on. Until we got to that walkway above the abyss, and this was one of the worst battles we were in this whole campaign. A lot of us were knocked down again, and some of us were falling into the abyss while others were attempting to save them. In the chaos, Miriam was caught off guard by one of the ghouls and it sunk its teeth into her neck, tearing nearly half of it out as he pulled away. The battle was won eventually, and as Julian was made conscious, upon seeing Miriam's state, he went cold. He crawled over to her lifeless body and attempted to use any magic he had left to try and heal her, an act that brought him back into the dreamlike state in front of the Blossom Lady once more. She said that what he wanted was possible, but it would come at a painful cost. Through tears, Julian begged her to do it, the repercussions blind to him. She agreed with a smile, seeing Julian's need to protect his friends, and he was thrust back to reality. The party watched as Miriam's neck slowly wove back together, forming scar tissue, and as it fully reformed, her eyes shot back open with life, gasping for air. The moment of joy quickly turned to pain for Julian as, for
equivalent exchange,
his arm was arcanically torn from his body as he writhed with agony. The pain subsided, and Julian just laid there with a big old grin on his face. The stress of the situation also turned his hair from gold to stark white. And again we were left with a scene of our party exhausted and defeated. So, I thought I'd get a lot further in the story arc with this part, but I've already got more written down than the first video, and I've already rewritten this whole script. So, I'm going to end this part here, and again, thank you for watching. The reception of the first part blew my mind, and I'm glad a lot of you enjoyed it. I'm also still very new to this, but I'll add my Twitch and other socially things below if you want to catch me doing other stuff. I don't know, man. But catch us in the next part where we actually might win a battle.